Billy Peterson. I'm with Utah Divorce Planning. Today I would like to share with you just a few easy tips to ease the divorce process and make it go as smooth as possible. First of all, I think it's important to take an inventory of your assets and liabilities. As you start into the process of going into divorce, our clients are going to want to really understand what they own and the liabilities that they might have accumulated during their marriage. Leading into the second step is to gather your statements, all the most recent statements that you have on things like 401ks and IRAs, annuities, pensions, bank accounts. So sometimes those things get misplaced, or maybe one party gets those statements in their name and the other doesn't have access to them. So it's very important that you know what is owned by both you and your spouse as you go into that process to divide the assets. And most recent statements are really important rather than looking for stuff that's a couple of years old. So that's step number 2. 1 and 2 are kind of interchangeable. Gather all your information on your assets and liabilities, maybe on a single sheet. And second, get all the statements that can back that data up. Third, we're going to talk about ensuring you have access to liquid assets. Now, this is very important for those spouses who might not be employed. And for example, we've seen this case in several cases is one spouse decides to withhold income or cash from the other spouse to make it very difficult to move forward. And oftentimes they'll have to get a judge order like a temporary order in order to receive enough funds just to manage their month-to-month livelihood. So I would say try to get access or obtain access to some liquid funds, whether that's setting up a bank account or getting a credit card in your name. And that's the next step is number 4. Begin to separate your expenses from your spouse, because all these expenses that go into joint name, you may find yourself liable for even if you had nothing to do with that purchase. So first step is to maybe establish a bank account or savings account in your own name. And second, a credit card, which most people have joint credit cards with their spouse. Maybe you've never even considered putting a credit card in your own name, but I think it's important to get credit and start establishing credit, because you may decide that you need to borrow money for a vehicle or maybe a new home at some point down the road. So establishing credit is important, and also severing that tie between you and your spouse, so you can decide whose expenses go where, and you can eliminate any liability on your part. The 5th step, I think, is sometimes very important but often overlooked, is make sure you have your insurance in place, lined up, and you have all the necessary insurances in place, all the risk management. So we look at health insurance as probably being the number 1 concern, medical. And if you could go out and shop for maybe an individual policy, if you don't work or if you're employed, maybe consider talking to your HR department about moving into the insurance that the company provides. Okay, typically in a divorce, you'll be able to sign up for that insurance right away. You can also go on a COBRA plan through your spouse's company if that was available, if the spouse was providing the insurance, the employment. So look into COBRA. COBRA's expensive, more expensive than typical individual policies, so I wouldn't look at that as a long-term option. It's more or less a bridge to get to that point where you can pick up your own. And other insurances to be considering are life insurance. You may have some needs, some small children who would be in difficult shape if you were to pass away unexpectedly, so life insurance is important. Also, if you're obtaining alimony from a spouse, you should really consider requiring or requesting in the divorce that life insurance be owned on him or her, so you can ensure that your future income payments from alimony will be secured in the event that that spouse passes away. You'd want to own that policy yourself, and you'd be responsible for paying those premiums. Other insurance policies that we often recommend, things like auto, obviously, and your homeowner's insurance if you're going to purchase a home or retitle the existing home into your own name. You'll want to go ahead and get that insurance moved into your own name too. Finally, maybe long-term care insurance. If you're in the age of, maybe 45 and over, maybe something that you want to consider in the event that you ever become disabled, incapacitated, need in-home care, things like that. Very expensive these days to take care of folks who are placed in nursing homes or have specialized care come into their home. That's typically a recommended purchase when you're up in later years. Quite expensive, so you want to be planning for that as well. In summary, I just wanted to share with you those 5 topics right there on the screen so you can maybe take some notes really quick. And then remember, always work with a financial professional to decide what's best for you. A divorce can be handled in many different ways, and this correct solution for you could be something you haven't even thought about. You really have to peel back the curtain a little bit and see what the assets will do for you and your spouse, also your tax situation, your income need, your need for liquidity, and all those things in between. So preparing a retirement analysis and making sure you're on track to meet your goals, maybe make some lifestyle changes through all of it, can help make sure you're on the best track possible for your long-term financial success. I hope you found these tips interesting and helpful, and until next time, we'll talk to you later.